and welcome back to the AustinTalks podcast, where today we are talking about the Moon Knight series that is coming, and it's just right around the corner. It's released on March 30th, March 30th, being about 2 weeks from now. So I thought I should maybe dive in, explain some things if it's not clear to you, like I did with Batman and Doctor Strange 2. And it's released. I will be doing a review for both, all the films and maybe series. That's not how you say it. But yeah, let's just jump right in. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's dive right into the Moon Knight. Well, first off, the plot explanation, because I've noticed on a lot of fan pages, people are confused in what they're trying to take on with this this plot, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not surprised that they're confused, because I can't say Marvel have been really informal, because all it's saying is Moon Knight's going to end up on Disney Plus with Arthur Harrow and all that stuff, with many personalities, but really people are not exactly saying why, or not exactly explaining what the plot is. So the plot follows a person, Mark Spector, who suffers from dissociative identity disorder, which I'll get onto what it actually is later. And he has many personalities, and throughout the series it explores the personalities, which ones including Moon Knight. And it's exploring that storyline between him and Arthur Harrow, and presumably the villain, who I'll get onto in a little bit, because because from the trailer alone, Marvel are very good at doing this. They're like, oh yeah, we've kept something behind the curtain just for Marvel fans to not realize at the moment. And to be fair, the plot for it, and the way they're doing that, if they do it when I explain it in the villain. When I talk about villains and all that stuff, then it would make slightly a bit more sense. But also, if I'm going to Arthur Harrow and villains, I don't think they would cast Ethan Hawke just for something like that, like Arthur Harrow. So I think he may have a bigger role than everyone thinks. Anyway, so now I'm going to talk about all the personalities, because he has 4. Apparently, it was 3 from the last time I talked about this, which was in my first video, which was feels like an eternity now. But yeah, it's you have what's his name? You have Mark Spector, who is the original identity of all the other 3, including himself, discluding himself. Mark is a presumed mercenary and marine ops, who went to from what I know about Moon Knight, he went to Egypt, and then got corrupted by this person, or this Egyptian god named Khonshu. So yeah. Mark's really just like a mercenary, and in this show, I don't think you'll see much of Mark. I think you'll see more of Steven and the Moon Knight. I think they'll acknowledge him. Some people acknowledge him as Mark, but then he will still not understand. And then at the end of the end of the series, you'll be like, I can control all of these. Yay, fun. Right. Now, the Steven personality is the main personality that we know of, because Steven works at a toy shop. He's got it going easy, and you can notice it in the trailer where it goes Stephen. And at that point you can definitely tell that there's some. He's trying to remember his name, but sometimes he blacks out and goes into Mr. Knight or Moon Knight or Mark, whoever, and he doesn't remember, which perfectly understandable if you have this kind of mentality, which I can assure you I want. For 4 people in one head, that's a nightmare. I mean, for me, it's a nightmare with one brain. Or one personality, let alone 4. So Steven's the main personality we'll see throughout this. Then he can black out into Moon Knight and then black out into Mr. Knight and all that stuff. So Moon Knight, the best personality of them all. The actual corrupt identity of Khonshu, because Khonshu kind of lives inside. Khonshu's spirit kind of lives in Stephen or Moon Knight even. That's why he has the ability for Moon Knight. Moon Knight is an amazing combatant. To me, he's like a Batman almost. He is like a Batman. Not the exact of what the film we got, but you never know. You never know. I mean, 4 episodes would actually make up the Batman film, because if they're 45 minutes long, maybe shorter, then about 4 of them would make up the Batman film, and these are going to consist of 6. So if it's better, I just think Moon Knight's a pretty Batman-ish character. Anyway, so Moon Knight's personality is like a corrupt version of Khonshu, who fights people that annoy him, and including the werewolf, who he should be getting a Halloween special, as I believe, in October. I was going to say December. That's our Christmas special. In October, we should be getting a little what do you call it? Halloween special for the werewolf for some reason. So Moon Knight his costume, by the way. Oh my god! It is so good, and the transformation in just the the transformation in the trailers, they're good from every angle. They're so good. And yeah, now to the personality that I was there really? That they're doing this? Mr. Knight. Yes, so for those who don't know who Mr. Knight is a version of Moon Knight. Now, it's not a version of Mark, it's a version of Moon Knight, which is this is quite confusing, but so Moon Knight lives inside, so Khonshu lives inside of, oh my god, this is painful, right, Khonshu lives inside of Moon Knight, and, I'm messing this up, because this is how confusing it is. Khonshu's spirit is in Mark, and when he comes out as Moon Knight. So, and Mr. Knight lives within Moon Knight. So that's like 2 shells. So Mr. Knight has to get through 2 shells in order to actually meet Mark, because so it's like Moon Knight can transform into Mr. Knight. It's not a Mark can transform into Mr. Knight. It has to be in a 3-step process. So Mark to Moon Knight to Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight's costume looks so sick. It looks so cool. It's like one of those gang leader. he is beyond white. He is moon. Oh. I realized I didn't even intend to make a joke, yet I did. He's a moon white. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, he is so white. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Moon Knight, in the Moon Knight suit is not white to me. It's grey, and I think that's the perfect balance between white and black, because that's what Mark's life practically is. It's black and white. So if you had like a mix of those two things, because Khonshu is more than likely the black, and then Mark is probably the white. Mix them together, you get Moon Knight, which is a grey figure, which I guess it kind of works. Then you have Mr. Knight. On Khonshu's side, he thinks he's the good one, so the suit will probably is like more than likely white if you're thinking mental logic. And yeah, you're not wrong. Mr. Knight's costume is pristinely smart. He's definitely following the COVID guidelines, because he's got a full face mask and everything, and he's wearing gloves. Yeah, Mr. Knight, I don't think is someone you really want to mess with. I'm going to be honest. I don't think you really want to mess with him. He seems a bit much, as you can say. So as I was saying earlier about the Arthur Harrow thing, so Arthur Harrow is the presumed villain in this story, played by Ethan Hawke, yeah, I don't understand, because if he's the villain, then why is Midnight Man, who is the main baddie, for not made an appearance in the trailer? And if he's already cast and he's confirmed to be there, why not actually be there? I mean, this is slightly different from, like, say, Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, they weren't confirmed. That was a rumor that ended up coming true. So there is a difference between... Okay, there's a difference between truth and lies. So, for those who didn't know. So truth, I'm sticking with the truth side, because I think Arthur Harrow, because you know what Marvel are like, they like putting their own twists on it. And I respect that. I like them putting their own twist on it. Meaning, I think that Arthur Harrow actually ends up being the Midnight Man. Yes. And then the person that's actually supposed to play Midnight Man actually is the entity, like Khonshu is. So that actually still kind of adds up. And so I was still there like, I don't get that. But when the Futurette came out for Moon Knight, which was only a couple days ago, when I watched that's when I was there like, okay, that actually makes sense. So if the only way it makes sense is because Arthur Harrow has that like stick, and it was like I don't know what was on top of the staff, but it ended up being purple. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like Midnight Man's kind of like a Black Panther type entity, so that would make sense if it would make sense if that ends up being Midnight Man, because then they're still following their initial idea of having a bad guy from the comics, because they are, and Arthur Harrow bringing still him in, because Arthur Harrow seems a bit too small for someone like Ethan Hawke. So I think that they're gonna reveal him to be Midnight Man. Because Khonshu, in my opinion, is practically a Moon Knight to me. But anyway, yeah, and I don't know if I've just covered this, but in the whole thing, like I've seen online, people don't actually know the origin story for Moon Knight, which is kind of a surprise to me. But then again, I'm not so surprised, because a lot of people don't actually know him. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? So the origin is the mercenary Mark Spector ends up going going on a mission in Egypt to try and steal some like gold stuff. This is what I remember. Just try and steal something, and then on his way out of trying to steal it, Khonshu takes control over him, and then he becomes Moon Knight. But with this consequence, he doesn't realize he's actually two people, and this is not including Moon Knight. So he ends up not realizing that he's now he's now the identity of three people. Mr. Knight didn't come in until later on, but we didn't actually know we were getting a Mr. Knight until the Futurette was released, because let's be honest, we weren't expecting it, and it was too good to be true. But you know what, Marvel? Surprise us even more. Bring a superior Iron Man into the universe. Please, surprise us. Anyway, and Khonshu. People were saying, because I don't get my questions from the top of my head. I get them from online, like from what people are answering. Because if actually people watch my podcast, then I can explain to them like what these all mean. Even though we're nearly at the end of my list already, I will probably go over my list 10 times again, because that's what I do in my podcast. I recap everything at least 10 times. Anyway, we're getting off track. So Khonshu is the god of the moon, the Egyptian god of the moon, who was at the top of the what do you call it? Like who lives kind of at the top of what's it called? The pyramid, and Mark Spector was actually stealing something from the pyramid. So Khonshu was there like, oh hell no, you are not stealing my stuff. That's just rude. So Khonshu was like just trying to teach him a lesson, but also kind of needed him. So he's classified as an ally. But to Mark Spector, Khonshu is an enemy. But on the Moon Knight side, he is a good person to him, because Moon Knight is technically Khonshu. But anyway, and people were asking what dissociative identity disorder actually is. Right. I'm surprised no one could actually go on to the internet and find this, but then again, you're on the internet to go and watch YouTube. So anyway, but dissociative identity disorder is when you think that you're actually three people when you're not. You're one person, but your mentality goes, I vaguely remember being like three people. Like who? A vigilante who is possessed by a god, a mercenary, and an employee at a toy store shop. I can imagine you just saying that to someone. They'd be like, right, which insane asylum is taking this patient? Yeah, I mean, I don't actually think it's real. I could be wrong though. I don't know if this actually exists in places. If dissociative identity disorder actually happens. I can't say that this counts for little kids, because obviously kids like that dress up in like Iron Man. They dress up as Iron Man and they go, hey, I'm Iron Man. No, you're not. You're Steven. No, I'm Iron Man. That doesn't count, because it's like pretend. But I don't think that's actually relatively accurate from what I was aiming for. But anyway, so yeah, dissociative identity disorder is the whole just you having mental thoughts on actually many more personalities than you actually think you have. Right, I've already gone over a villain theory. But throughout this whole series, I do think Khonshu will be an antagonist to Mark. And I say that, Mark. and maybe Stephen, because in the trailer you get a better look at Mr. Khonshu trying to haunt the living daylights out of this man. Why? I mean, honestly, he seems broken already. I don't think he needs any more. But here we are. He's terrorizing this man to the death. So that's. I think he'll be an antagonist to Stephen. I think at those times he'll think he's trying to go for him. Because then he's like, turn into Moon Knight now. I need to be inside of you. I need to be in you. Become Moon Knight now. I think that's why he was like terrorizing him or something. That's just how every scenario happens in my head, and I've recapped that in my Batman review for those who didn't know. I think to some extent that Khonshu will be an antagonist, but throughout the story, when he gets grasped with all of his identities, he'll be more of a grace and a friend. And I wondered this myself because I was talking to my friend who we talk about all this all the time, and he said, what do you think the finale of the Moon Knight's actually going to be? Well, let me think. I will just recap it all for you. There's Moon Knight, presumed Midnight Man, a Arthur Harrow, and a Mr. Knight, and a Khonshu. So what are our odds? So I didn't actually tell him, but for that person, here is the podcast where what I think. I think that the finale is going to end up back where it all started. So where Arthur Harrow has that, or presumed Arthur Harrow has that little stick, and that's going to be the finale where he trying to wreak havoc in Egypt, where Khonshu and Moon Knight actually try and Khonshu and Moon Knight try and help each other to try and stop him, because this may unlock the whole Midnight Man identity. So I think we may get an identity. This will either happen at the end of episode 5, and then in episode 6 we get a Midnight Man, or because Midnight Man could be Now, I'm going to be honest with you all. At the beginning, when this actually came out, I thought Shadow King was actually going to be the enemy. And I actually think that was because that's what it said before that everything got changed. Because COVID has had a number on it. COVID had quite a big impact on Moon Knight. Because things like Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, they all had quite a big impact on Marvel films such as this. Marvel films, films as well, as we've seen, but also series too, especially series, but it died down during 2021, where they actually launched all of their favorites, like WandaVision. What else did we get? Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, and there's one more, What If? That's the one. Yeah, so the finale is going to be Midnight Man, Khonshu and Moon Knight scrap, and Moon Knight will probably take the lead and all that stuff. And I think throughout the whole series, it's going to be like Arthur Harrow's men are going to be trying to, what's the word? Not annoy, but trying to stop Moon Knight from actually stopping Arthur Harrow's big plan. So I think his whole cult thing will try and stop him and all that stuff. So predictions for actually each episode. I think the first episode for a TV show like this is going to be pretty boring. I think it's going to introduce that Stephen, and then what he does at night, which has obviously become Moon Knight, and yeah, then he'll meet Arthur Harrow, and yeah. So second episode, we'll have that like chase scene with Khonshu and what's it called? Stephen. Oh yeah, Stephen actually. We'll have that whole battle ish type thing, and we'll have a not a battle like where Khonshu was terrorizing Stephen, and then later on in that episode, we'll have that like car chase scene where he blacks out and then he's end up in a truck with a gun in his hand, and then when he falls off, Khonshu will be behind him, be there like, if you want to kind of save yourself, just become Moon Knight and you'll just do the best superhero landing ever. Oh, okay. And then he turns into Moon Knight and then just kills the rest of the people that were on that bridge. Either Moon Knight or no Moon Knight, I think he would still have a very long fall. Yeah, Mr. Knight is kind of like for those who didn't know, Mr. Knight is kind of a crime boss type character. That's what he looks like. I'm not saying that's actually him, but he is like a James Bond type. That's the best way to put it. He's like a James Bond type person. It's like Bond, well, Knight, Mr. Knight. I could just like imagine seeing him with his tux, like Knight, Mr. Knight, because when it's all like being white and stuff, I think that would show some intimidation, especially in the night. Because some people in the alleyway, for example, you know, there's people in Batman where he goes, "Who the hell are you supposed to be?" And then we're gonna have another repeat of Batman where he beats the ever-living crap out of the person, every ever-living daylight out of him. Like, yeah, because I think that day will be the last day he sees daylight. Because then Moon Knight will be like, bang. And either he'll be knocked out very hard, and then when he goes to the hospital, and then he dies in hospital. That is very dark. But yeah, Moon Knight can throw a punch. I mean, you see what he did to the werewolf. The werewolf was on the floor, mate. And it's just like, stay down, stay down. I was gonna make a joke, but it's not exactly a joke. It's quite depressing, so I'm not gonna say it. Just to help, just to ensure the people's concerns at home. Yeah, so in like episode 3, they'll explore more of the origin with Khonshu and all that, because I think they'll just introduce Stephen and his disorder and all that stuff in the first episode. Then that like Moon Knight, more Moon Knight action in the second, third, explaining the whole story between him, Mark, and Khonshu. Number 4, what will we have in number 4? Arthur Harrow probably just meeting him at the what do you call it? What's it called? The Toy Story, because embrace the chaos, or the chaos lives inside you. And then in episode 4, he'll get that. Wait, are we on episode? Yeah, we're on episode 4. So my bad. Then you also get that phone call, like, it's like, "Thank God you're alive. What the hell were you thinking, Mark? Why'd you call me Mark?" And then that's when that'll start, and that would be great to end the episode. Then the next episode explain everything again, and then in episode 5 we'll have all that planning from Arthur Harrow, then ends up being Midnight Man, and then the big finale, which will be Moon Knight and Khonshu working together to again beat up Arthur Harrow, seeming as that's what Moon Knight does best. I do want to talk about the costumes and the cape. Batman does not have a cape that looks like a batarang. But then, when you look at Moon Knight, his cape, when you saw down, it ends up being a crest of the moon. It is very cool, like very, very cool. I love the way that how slow that scene goes. I don't think there's any way you could really slow it down anymore, because the way he glides down with the way his cape just reaches out and then puts that image of the crescent. It looks so intimidating, because people be like, is someone here? Then you just, I think actually Moon Knight is called Moon Knight because he can actually camouflage in the night, and he's the Knight of the Moon, which is actually his name in some places. And his tired. And his brain will go. Wait, what am I talking about again? Oh, so because his camouflage, because the suit is will camouflage within the night. So if he closes his eyes, he'll be like, no one can see me. And then, is someone here? Opens the eyes. Surprise, boy. And then he just comes out flying with that crescent on his back. And then he's like, surprise, suckers. And then he goes and knocks everyone out again. I can tell you there's going to be a lot of knocking out in this, because it reminds me of Batman, and Batman knocked a lot of people out. This reminds me of any Batman film. So he's going to be going, wait, what is that guy? I'm the Moon Knight, or the Knight of the Moon. Bang, bang, bang. Pff, oi, boy. I bet you there's some people, especially in the cult. Speaking of the cult, I loved how Arthur did this. I'm gonna just put say Arthur as if I don't believe it's him, because I don't really believe it's him, because I think Ethan Hawke has a bigger role than he's letting on. He is the werewolf. Wink, wink. That was an awful joke that I will refrain from using ever again during this podcast, and probably for future others. Anyway, so Arthur in the scene, you could definitely tell he was looking for Stephen, but he was amongst the crowd, and he knew some people, people were on his in his cult. So if he says kneel, they'll all kneel, and then they rat it out to Stephen, why am I here? Why is everyone kneeling down? It's I could just imagine this is him. Everyone kneel, and then he'd be like, oh, come on, I'm supposed to be in disguise, everyone. It's supposed to be on my team. Or else he could have just crouched down with them. Anyway, so yeah, I think the tattoo of when he has that weighty, the weight of society, the law, it's like a law of justice thing. So it's like a weighing thing that actually moves. It reminded me of the Death Eater tattoo, because that always got moved around, Death Eater. So it kind of reminded me of that, but in reality, I didn't really understand why it was there. That would more than likely be explained during the series. And I'm wondering, throughout this, because it's too early to say, but if there's actually going to be a a season 2, because if they did a season 2, they could bring in at this time they would have had a She-Hulk, and then why am I talking about She-Hulk? Well, I actually have two ideas. They have a She-Hulk, and then they have a kind of a Hawkeye. You could have them into one, but with all this coming full circle, you have Ebony. You have the Ebony Blade, which belonged to Dane Whitman in the second post-credit scene of Eternals, which was a very good film, by the way, and I hate that people did not like it. I thought that was quite sad, but it is what it is. Anyway, but speaking of people, people were speculating, and I completely agree with them. As soon as Moon Knight was actually confirmed, I thought that this would be a thing. I thought this would just be with Blade and Moon Knight, because that's still a couple of vigilantes that would make a great pair. Yes, I thought that would maybe be good. And speaking of this, I've come up with next week's podcast already. I mean, I have about 50 in line, but I think maybe next week will be the perfect week to release it. Go team! Well, everyone, you're gonna have to wait till next week to see what was on my mind, because this is going to be juicy. And also next week will be the last week of it'll be the last week. It'll be our last podcast, because I'm going to be doing a little. I'm going to be having a 2-week break. I have a 2-week break because I not only in school, but also I would like a 2-week break to myself, and also I can't record from where I'm going. I do have a podcast planned for after it. I just thought I would say that now, if we were on the topic of podcasts. So what was I actually talking about again? What was I talking about? Because I know what I was thinking about for yes, the Midnight Suns and Blade. Right, okay. Right, so Blade and Moon Knight, because you would have both of them when Blade releases, which I don't know when that will be, but it'll probably be either in 2023, I doubt it though, or in 2024. Because then they could either have a film or a Disney Plus show for Midnight Suns, which, if my calculations are can I say? I don't want to say it because I feel like it may ruin my next week's podcast. Fudge. I don't want to say it. Right, okay. I won't say it, but I have the perfect villain idea because of where the film that I'm talking about is going. And how the last two that I've had, which is No Way Home and Doctor Strange 2, and Loki, if we're all talking about them, we might as well talk about this. If we have like 3 crossovers, I think I'm allowed to say it next week. I may record it after this, because I know exactly what I'm going to say in that. Whoopee! Yeah. And going back to the Ebony Blade thing, if you're having what's the word? If you're having like a Black Knight into this, then I think maybe adjust the story between a Black Knight if you're gonna bring in like Blade and Moon Knight, because they're like all vigilantes, and then Black Knight will just be there like, I'm from England and I am a knight. What's my importance again? And people be like, exactly, like you don't exactly know. So anyway, what was it? And the trap that Stephen does, because he's like concerned about his dissociative identity disorder. He places sand on the floor just to see if there's any footsteps of him actually leaving, which is quite funny and tactical. If like, say you're trying to track someone down, and he leaves at 13:30. And well, no, he leaves at 12 a.m. He goes to sleep, but then he wakes up random. That would have been great for paranormal activity. Oh wait, no, they started floating. There's a difference. Never mind, because you had the Paranormal Activity, if the kids were walking out, then you would know that they were walking out. But no, they were floating. They were floating. Anyway, Moon Knight and Paranormal Activity have nothing in common, so I don't understand why I was talking about that. But anyway, here we are. Yeah, Arthur Harrow does have like a cult-like personality from his face alone. I'm not trying to be rude, but not his face. His hair alone looks like he was leading a cult anyway. And his red like jumpsuit that he had at first, I was there like, you definitely seem like someone that would be leading a cult at this point. And wouldn't you know it, he already was. So yeah, I thought that was actually quite obscure, but it is what it is. To the Midnight Man theory, the reason why I think that theory is, I don't think they had a shot of the person that played him, because he actually passed away this year in January. Rest in peace. But I don't think they would have really had any shot with him if he was, say, in like hospital or something. But if that was the case, then they would need a replacement. So if they just altered the story very quickly, because the Marvel are very quick and capable of doing that, and they are quite they find it quite easy to switch a story quite what's the word, on such a short notice. So they are known for doing that, so it's not exactly a surprise or anything. So with the villain and Mr. Midnight being Arthur Harrow, which I think would bring more depth to the story, which would be good, yeah. And seeming as we have a nearby Thunderbolt like film coming up, Midnight Man would be perfect on it. And if this is like he's not gonna die during this, he would be good in Werewolf, in the Werewolf, the Halloween special, and so would Moon Knight, because then he could be the villain. I don't know if it's a horror though, but if it's a werewolf type thing, then I would imagine it probably is. But that is life to a T. Oh, yes, Hell's Kitchen. Right, Austin, how does this link to Hell's Kitchen and Daredevil and all that stuff? I'm glad you asked, YouTube. Right, Mr. Knight was actually a part of the Daredevil, like Hell's Kitchen, all that stuff. And I don't actually know if this takes place in England or in Hell's Kitchen. I probably think it may be Hell's Kitchen, but I do know for a fact it was filmed in England. Fun fact for those who don't know: the same museum that was what do you call it? The same museum that was in okay, let me rephrase this. The museum that's actually in the trailer of Moon Knight is where they filmed the cuffed scene of Doctor Strange 2 in the English museum, where I think he may be looking for stuff where, like Khonshu, that's where he has this whole breakdown of thinking Khonshu's gonna come for him. But I would say something, but I don't know if I can say it. I will double check with YouTube. Yeah. So Mr. Knight did actually help with like that Daredevil thing, so they could make an appearance in this too. And seeming as the whole Daredevil and Jessica Cruz, that's DC, Jessica Jones, and like Luke Cage and Iron Fist are coming to the MCU. I don't understand why people think they were not in the universe in the first place, because I could have told you they were. They were just on different sides of timelines, because one was in like 2008 and then one was in like 2024. I don't understand why people didn't get that and people didn't know. But hey, that's life. That should be my catchphrase from now on. But they could make an appearance in this too, but I highly doubt it. I think they would make a better appearance, especially Daredevil, like Luke Cage or Iron Fist, would be better in like the Midnight Suns. Because you have Black Knight, that comes under Midnight. Then you have Moon Knight, which most definitely comes under what's it called? What is it called? What is it called? Would Moon Knight would be great for a Midnight Suns, and then Blade, right? His name doesn't say much. He's a nocturnal animal, nocturnal person, similar to Mr. Batman. It's just like, because it reminds me of when I say nocturnal, he looks in the sunlight and then gets blinded by it because he's nocturnal. And for those who didn't know what nocturnal is, nocturnal means you are, it's like Ramadan, because people that fast, they have their like meals at night, and then they sleep throughout the day. So the day is their night and the night is their day. So if that makes sense, their day is is the night for them, and then the morning is their bedtime. So yeah, it depends on how you look at it. So to a nocturnal animal, I would technically be nocturnal to them, because this is their what's it called? What is it called? This would be classed as I give up with trying to explain that. I really do. And to go back to the Mark and Stephen, I'm kind of confused, because why wouldn't they just use a timid Mark? Because, but I think having all these personalities like Mark, Mr. Knight, Moon Knight, Stephen, all these correlate to more personalities, because I can't exactly say Mr. Knight's a personality of Mark, but it's a personality of Moon Knight. So that's a personality within a personality. That's a roller coaster of emotions. That's for sure. Because just imagine having 4 things in your head, like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Oh yeah, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. You'd go insane within seconds. Now, at least I would. I know I would. I struggle with one alone. I think I'm fine with 1. Never mind 4. I probably couldn't do 2. Is that 2? Because Two-Face, I don't exactly know if he's just stupid and mental, or that fire ended up being spiritual, and then his fire gas ended up being a new best friend. Or should I say an insane best friend, anyway. Stephen. What was I going to say about Stephen? And also, so going back to that trap thing, I was just going to say that's got to hurt. Because it was like a whip, almost, because he tied to his leg. That when he woke up, because he's got that terrifying feeling of, so anything will like scare. So as soon as he had heard that alarm, he jumped out of bed and into the sand, which is actually the whole point, because then he actually thinks there's something inside of him without him realizing he'd slipped on the sand and then hit his head on the ground. I've just got to say, if that was an apartment, downstairs would have been like, what the heck? It's an earthquake. Because that's like a pure, that's like what's it called? Elastic. So that's definitely gonna come back, and the elastic always wins, no matter how much you weigh, and it's always gonna go like, what? No, I did that wrong. So it's gonna really hurt, because elastic is is quite what do you call it? Powerful. So yeah, and the beginning of the first trailer where he has that Rubik's Cube, I think that was a way to know what, like, I think that either may happen at the end where he's now finally taken control of all of it, and he's like, I think at the beginning he'll be like, how does one do a Rubik's Cube? And then at the end he can finally do a Rubik's Cube. That'd be quite fun to see. And the mirror scene where he could see more of him, and there's exactly 4 personality. There's 4 mirrors and mirages of himself, and people thought reflecting the 3 of himself. No. People did not realize there's 4 personalities now. Yeah, and all these personalities that live inside of him will more than likely not agree themselves, never mind Mark not agreeing with anything else. Because you probably have Moon Knight and Mr. Knight be like, why? Leave me alone, I don't need you. What? No, you should leave me alone. I mean, I guess that's only a problem for Moon Knight, but then again, if it's a problem for Moon Knight, it's a problem for Mark. So, Mr. Knight's like, he could be the true villain, because after all, he is the annoying one in the group. I know what that feels like. Yeah, and what was I going to say about the Mr. Knight thing? I was going to say something about Hell's Kitchen. Right, yes. If they do the Midnight Suns with like a Daredevil, I don't think that's maybe a best idea, really. I think they should have a whole TV series, and even like a small one, or just adding it on to Daredevil if they actually continue it, because now we have Charlie Cox back in, as revealed in No Way Home. But if they had him coming back, then you could either have a Mr. Knight and a Daredevil show, or Mr. Knight be on the Daredevil show. So I probably agree with the second option. No, what would I have? No, I'd definitely go with the first option, because then it would have to mean I have to watch what do you call it? Daredevil, which I don't think I have the time for. If I'm going to be honest, I have a lot of things. I have GCSEs coming up. I really don't think I can bear anything at the moment. I say that, and then I'm actually going to watch the Moon Knight series, and I say I don't have time. Hey, you know what they say? Do as I say, not as I do. No. Do. It's like, they do say do as I say, not as I do, but in this case it's like, don't do what I say. I give up with trying to do that. That is a tongue twister and a half, mate. And I also just want to go back to the costumes bit. So the costumes are like the white eyes. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about earlier. I now remember. I did not talk about Moon Knight's batarangs. No one can tell me that Moon Knight's not trying to be Batman. You can definitely tell he is. The cape, the katanas, and the transformation. I wouldn't say the transformation. I can't say you have some mummy-like tissues coming out of your back and then crawling over your face, and then a hood just coming straight up. I'm pretty sure Batman doesn't do that. Unless there's some story that I'm be there like, since when was this thing? I don't remember that being on my script on anything, really. So, don't shoot the messenger. Anyway, so those katanas, in the first, was it? Yeah, the first was... what was it? Yeah, the first type of, what is it? Cover, you had him holding a one of his crescents with blood on it. So I'm going to presume that someone's getting killed in this one. It is either Khonshu, which I highly doubt it, or it is Midnight Man, which I really don't want that to be the case because I would like him to live through everything else. But if it's going to be such an important role that Ethan Hawke's only going to play in for once, I think they'll more than likely kill him off because that's what they do with everything else. One-time appearance, bye-bye, you are dead. I mean, in every, it used to be in Marvel, like, if there's no corpse, there is no death. It's the same with what happened in Hawkeye. You heard a gunshot for Kingpin. Did you see a body? Nope. It would have been better if they had a post-credit scene where he's like, I'm alive, but I'm also blind in one eye. Because I think they'll probably take on the whole storyline of him having, him having the blind eyes. But imagine Moon Knight going against Kingpin. Damn, that would be a face-off. That would be quite the face-off. Just him going out there like, wow. Oh, okay. I've just come up with another podcast idea, but it actually may affect my timeline for holidays. Oh, no, it won't if I just pre-record. Sorry, I'm really just thinking of other stuff because I'm trying to pre-plan, especially with this holiday coming up. I'm trying to pre-plan? That's not how it goes. Pre-plan. I'm just trying to pre-plan everything so I don't actually get everything mixed up. And obviously I want to keep it all up for you guys because the support I've been getting with other videos. I should probably say this for the end of the video and end of the podcast. So you know what? I'm going to do that just to save you all some pain from hearing me talk. I say that and that. Why do I beat myself down? Why? Why do I do this? Why? Can someone explain? Why do I do this? Anyway, oh, what was I going to say about Khonshu? Oh, yes, his long nose. I was going to say something, but then I need to double check with YouTube if I can say it. His nose, mate. It looks worse than a pterodactyl. Pterodactyls had a long beak, but then Khonshu, I don't think you could get. I think he could lie quite a lot because no Pinocchio can get it that big. Yeah, no Pinocchio can get it that big. Holy, I think he can tell all the lies he wants. I don't think any of them is going to surpass that length. And also, sorry about that. And also the trailer, when you see him walking, he looks as if he's crippled. But then again, I think that's what happens when you stay in a museum for hundreds of years. You probably just lose your will to walk. You're like, what's walking like again? Oh, 1 foot, then the next foot, then the next one. Then he's crippled in one leg, and then he's trying to find Steven. Like, Steven, just take my Moon Knight. I'm struggling to walk as it is. Like, please leave me alone. Really? I am half crippled, and you want me to leave you alone? Just take my spirit, for God's sake. I'd love that just to happen. Just take my spirit, Stephen. Now then leave. The old lady that ends up being Khonshu, I actually thought that she may turn into Khonshu in the elevator. Like, I lost the contact lens. I hope you find it. Thanks. If I ran into someone random on an elevator, I wouldn't be saying that. I wouldn't be saying anything at all. If they said, oh, thank you for holding the elevator, you're welcome. That's it. Limit the conversation. Unless it's someone, like, say your mum, like, oh, how was work today? Oh, it was nice. How was your day at school? Painful as always. That's just me reflecting my average day at school. Yes. I do not enjoy school because I have to do subjects that I don't enjoy. Can't wait for next year. Anyway, well, Is there anything else I need to cover before I end this? Before I do it. Finale predictions. I went over all my episodes. Oh yeah, just the posters. Yeah, so the posters were all there. One of them was just the crest of his batarangs. And as I said, like, they do look quite cool, but they don't exactly look so deadly. I'm gonna be honest, they don't look so deadly to actually kill someone with it. But obviously I've been proven wrong if there's blood on it, unless it's his own where he's been shot and something. I'd just love to see like a Ragman type thing where he just deflects the one of it with either his cape or his like a bullet with his cape or his what's the word? A cape or the mummy tissue. So yeah, and the second poster which we recently got, no, we got about 3, never mind. The most recent one, which was the official one, we got 2 faces, and it looks like one face if you look at it right, but it looks like 2 when you look at it. It is 2 faces, but if you look at it like a lot, like I do, it actually is 1 face. Which I thought was quite a good design thing. So, we've got all posters for Stephen Grant and Moon Knight and all that stuff. And when he wakes up, when he's just fought all those people, I actually think he's at Mr. Knight at that point. As I was saying, he's like in that alleyway, like, who the hell are you supposed to be? And then he just go bang, 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 bang. Then he wakes up as Mark Spector, so he's obviously having to do his Mr. Knight to Moon Knight and then Moon Knight to Steven. Yeah, that's just my theory if that's how it's going to work, because I feel like Mr. Knight should just be an entity of Moon Knight instead of Mr. Knight being an entity of Mark. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. I did enjoy recording this. I hope you all enjoy. Hope you're all excited for the Moon Knight series. I'll probably do a review on it once it's finished, which will be like May 6th. Then on the same week, probably Doctor Strange 2 review. Well, that week's gonna be that week's gonna be manic. But anyway, I just hope you all enjoyed that podcast, and I'll see you in the next one. As I said, I have got some things planned, and hopefully a special guest coming onto the podcast. Hey, we've done it, everyone! When I say special podcast, I mean literally my friend. Wow, my life is depressing. Imagine we could get like a Benedict Cumberbatch on the podcast. That'd be great. But sadly, I'm not working on such a big budget here. Anyway, guys, thank you all for listening to this podcast, and I'll see you all next week, which I just came up with now. Bye, everyone. Have a good day.